how you do it, Mark. You make even me sound good. Quite a challenge, I have to say, my friend, as many will attest to. So, today I'm talking about work is love made visible. And I think that's appropriate based on the Labor Day weekend. Khalil Gibran said in his book, The Prophet, "What is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear the garment. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with the breath of your own spirit, and to know that all of the blessed dead who have gone before you are standing about you and watching. Work is love made visible," he continues. "And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms from those who do love their work. If you bake bread with indifference, you bake bitter bread that feeds half man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the wine. And if you sing through though as angels and love not singing, you muffle man's ears to the voice of the day and the voices of the night." End quote. So, on this Labor Day weekend, we're reminded to live through that essence that we call spirit or God, and let God and our essence of that divinity inform every act that we perform, because we are stewards of that small portion of the universe that we've been given. We are God made manifest. And to work with distaste, to have distaste for any aspect of our lives, is to discount the essence of who we are. It is to demean God in a very important way. Martha Sinitar, in her book, Elegant Choices, Healing Choices, she talks about a conversation that she had with a friend. She says, "All of us probably know that ultimately there's no assurance in life that what we choose to be or do is right." She says, "A friend and I discussed this topic the other night. My friend admitted that he felt more useful to others than he was to himself. He said he just couldn't get his act together, that he was embarrassed because his family, especially his children, might think him a fool. He is neither an artistic nor a business success and feels self-conscious about this." Martha Sinitar said, "I told him I didn't think I had my act together either. And moreover, I didn't really know what it was supposed to be. Aloud, I wondered whether our act is life's important issue. Is our act life's important issue? Perhaps instead of occupying ourselves with our act, we should notice whether or not we are giving something valuable to others, something from within ourselves. Perhaps this is how our act becomes defined. The question is, do we help people? Are we encouraging them? Do we contribute each day to the greater good in some small way? Can we forget ourselves, give up our self-consciousness, develop our best self so that others benefit? Can we curtail our self-preoccupation, posturing, and endless self-involvement long enough to function effectively during the day? If we grow in these areas, we can steadfastly develop power and ability. Then our acts may become clarified. So, Marcia Senator also wrote a book called Ordinary People as Monks and Mystics. And the whole idea of that book was that people go throughout their days either disconnected and unaware, or they choose to be a monk in their everyday life. They choose to live a spiritual life throughout all of the chores and the daily, I'm using this word in quotes, grind. You can either brush your teeth with consciousness, or you can brush your teeth with unawareness. You can do your work and despise it, or you can do your work as the essence of the God divine that you are. When I was thinking about this talk, I took occasion to reminisce on my work history. I started working when I was 12. The first job I had was as a professional shopper and an investigator for a detective agency that my dad had been involved with. And that was a lot of fun. I thought I was pretty smarty. The work that I did, however, was that I had this partner, Mr. Watson, who was in the early stages of Alzheimer's. So really my job was to make sure that Mr. Watson got where he was supposed to be and did the work, and I took care of him. So that was very interesting to start my work career out in such a way. Over the years, and I'm not going to say how many years, I've had an average of a job change in 2.5 years. So I've had, like, don't try to do the math, 23 different jobs over my work history, or 23 different careers. Put your hand down, Peter. And all of them were really exciting and fulfilling in ways that would not have necessarily been conventional. And when I discovered that I was not challenged, I was not interested, I was not fulfilled, I was not living my spirit, I would do something different. And I've been a minister now for 6 years, I think, and I'm still finding it very challenging and very interesting. There's a quote that I want to share with you by someone named Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. Never heard of her. She says, Nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose, a point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye. So when I was reflecting on my work history, and I'm just speaking for all of you, I believe, what I discovered was that my steady purpose was to love people and to be in service to them. And that's the thread that has woven throughout my work career. And I believe I speak for each one of us present, that we all want to be in service and to be in love. And it doesn't matter what the work is, we can all express that divinity that is ours to express. The old story about the prophet that stopped and spoke with people who were building a church, and the prophet asked the layman, what are you building here? And one said, well, I'm laying bricks. And the other said, I am building a cathedral to celebrate God. So we can lay bricks, we can dig ditches, we can bake bread with the intention of celebrating God. So how can we make love visible in our work? And I, of course, have some suggestions. We all have talents and skills and gifts to share. When we are good at something or we have a talent or skill, we often devalue it and sort of say, this old thing, anybody could do it. But the truth is, it is your task. You've been called by the divine to do your task, to share your talents and skills. If you're good at baking bread, you can bake bread and it will be bitter. Or you can bake bread for the edification of spirit. You can bake bread to feed humanity and to serve the divine. We don't feel sometimes that the tasks that we perform are God-worthy. Our gifts may be humble, and if we are humble about our gifts and acknowledge that we are doing it to edify the divine, then they become God-worthy. As I said, each one of us has our percentage of the universal whole, and it's up to each one of us to be good stewards of the divine, to express exactly who we are, to be at peace and to love with our percentage of the universal whole. And you know, when we get to be a certain age, I am a woman of a certain age, it is our job and our task to keep it fresh, knowing that no matter what we are and where we are in our stage of life, if we're breathing, we have a purpose. We are tasked with stewarding our portion of the universal whole, the divine. My mom lived to be 97, and her declared task was to pray for people. That's what she did. And remarkably, people just came out of the woodwork to be with her and to ask for her prayers or her help. So if we are breathing, if we are alive, there's always something that we can do to demonstrate that part of the universal whole that we are, to do the work that is before us to do. And it is always ever changing. It's never the same. It's our job to keep it fresh and to be the love that is visible in our work. There's a story about the Buddha when he got up from underneath the Bodhi tree. He was luminous, and a monk was dazzled by his brilliance. And the monk came up to him and said, "Who are you? You must be a god." And Buddha said, "No, I'm not a god." But the monk persisted and he said, "You must be a diva." Buddha said, "No, I'm not a diva." "Then you must be Brahmin." "No, I'm not Brahmin." The monk was frustrated and he continued and insisted, "Please tell me, what are you? What are you?" And the Buddha stopped and in his radiance said, "I am awake." And that's our task, to be awake, to be alert and aware of the spirit that runs through us, and to be the challenge and the channel of the divine. No matter what we're doing, no matter how modest our task, just being awake. Awake to making our work visible. Awake to knowing that we are the divine expression, no matter what we're doing. Washing dishes, sweeping the floor, washing windows, whatever task that so many consider menial are the tasks that are ours to express our divinity and to make love visible. So as we move through our Labor Day and celebrate those who have labored throughout the year, being aware that no matter how modest any object is, how modest any task is, it is a divine expression. So I celebrate you today as the channel, the stewards of the God that you are. I love each one of you. So thank you, Katie. I'm reminded of Charles Fillmore, who at 93 said, "I fairly sizzle with the excitement of the tasks that are left for me to do." And at this moment, I'm in touch with that sizzle of the divine, that exciting and enthusiastic expression of the universe that moves through each one of us. love that is visible through each one of you. I am so filled with joy to be in the presence of God. As expressed through you. I know that God is made manifest as you, through you. I know that each of us have unique talents and skills to be expressed as the divine. At this moment, I celebrate the awake. I celebrate the shiny truth of who you are and what you are. I know and declare that each action is taken with an awareness of the joy of the universe, the godness that you are, the truth of your being, the sizzle of the divine. And I call forth that awareness. I remind us all, each one of us, to be awake, to be awake, to be awake at every moment, to be filled with joy for each breath that we are allowed to take. To celebrate the opportunity to be of service, to do the work that we are called here to do, moment by moment. I declare it good and very good. And I invite you to own that with me as we say, and so it is.